Hey you guys, it's time for Class Wars prelims for the month of April 2015. I was pretty excited about this, even though my BR is too low to get into finals. Not to get into finals, but to get into the top 16 of finals. Just because, there's a lot of new stuff going on, there's a new element to things, which I always think is fun. The kids are involved. I don't think the kids are really a make it or break it thing yet. As far as winning the fight, but obviously BR does matter. Here I get a really tough fight the second round. It's always possible to get these, but technically I could have drawn somebody, I could draw Morden at round one. But it's very rare to see two people as high of BR as myself and Ray fighting in the second round. So I was quite surprised to see this. Usually my first couple of fights are quite quick as far as winning them, and so getting Ray here was quite surprising. She has an archer kid, which is I think a popular pick for mages. It's also was my first instinct was to get an archer. I think mages always like some of the archer debuffs and things like that, and then a lot of them go with knights as well. Once in a while you see some with oracles, which is what I want, but not too many. Ray, of course, going with her token wind sylph. Still just 1 star on the wind sylph. Like myself, I haven't added any stars to them, but I suspect there's probably some advanced fulcrum in it. As far as skills go, I haven't brought an AoE, even though the kids are involved. I think I saw the U-Demons as something that either, I would thunder away them at the beginning, if things turn out that way. If not, that's something that I deal with in Sylph mode, or I get my opponent to help me with that. So here I get a Chaos on Ray, and even though Chaoses don't work to make your opponents hit their own Sylph troops, it will make them hit their own U-Demon, and so that's very helpful here. So Ray ends up using her Steel, which of course is a nasty skill as far as wind sylphs go. So I'm glad that Steel didn't hit me, and ended up hitting her kid. Here she gets a nice Amnesia, so probably, I forgot what other rune she had, but maybe she's going Amnesia and Guardian here? Not totally sure. I probably should have stacked up my my wind resistance more. At the moment when I'm fighting Ray, I only have 4 resistance crystals in for wind, and I'm not sure it would have made a huge difference if I had all 6, but it would have been something. And I do have an advanced wind dimension, so I get a little help from that. Even so, I was feeling pretty good about this fight because, I have a lot of my Sylph mode and the 100% increase and a lot of good stuff there. But, Ray is very strong, probably has more base stats than myself. So I'm low on HP there, but I thought I dealt quite a bit of damage and that she was healing quite a bit at the end. But even so, still fail on my part. So I end up having a pretty, I guess, light in BR draw for a while. I did end up bringing a Chaos Rune, which is something that before I kind of loathed. But because these U-Demons do have a lot of BR, it's not in the same nature as troops. Definitely for some of these players, of course, the U-Demons aren't that strong because they're not that strong yet. But for the stronger players, I mean, those are not things that I can wipe out with an AoE really quickly like normal troops. And so I think it's pretty natural to try and bring a Chaos into this situation. It's a little bit hard to balance Chaos and Guardian Rune, which I'm from what I found. I think it would be a little bit more natural to use Chaos and heal, but I also wouldn't feel great about not having a Guardian Rune, so I'm not totally sure how to go about that quite yet. I saw on more than one occasion people bring Amnesia and Chaos, which was 1, very annoying, and 2, kind of interesting. I'm not sure it's something that I would want to do, but definitely interesting. So we'll see. A lot of other people built very, very similarly to myself. Have a Chaos Rune, have Ice Bolts, Thunder, Centauria, a Restore, and of course, Lightning Bolt. The reason why you'll see a lot of Ice Bolts now, and you never saw that before, is because Ice Bolt now has the ability to stun. It is based a bit on, how much influence you have. It's all chance based. If people have about equal influence, then it's probably a 50-50% chance whether or not that Ice Bolt stun is going to succeed. But regardless, I think it's worth a shot. Also, before, it was kind of just like always, oh, should I bring Fury? Oh, should I bring Damnation? It wasn't totally obvious, what was the best 5th skill for me to bring. Whereas here, I think it's very clear that either you go with an AoE to help clear the U-demons, or you go with Ice Bolt. And so I think this is a nice setup. Escues. I don't know what that means. And as far as Sylphs go, I just go for as much BR as possible. So I have my Dark Pet as my main, my Light Sylph as one of my troops, and the other one I bring Medusa, which is always a favored Sylph for me. The reason why you don't see Goddess of Prosperity here is because my Goddess of Prosperity is set up with skills that are skills that I would use if Medusa were my main Sylph. So it's a little bit different using Medusa as a support troop than using any Wind Sylph, not just Medusa, but Goddess of Prosperity also as my main Sylph. So the skills are a little bit differently set up. Now I have another orange Medusa, and I'm not probably never going to make that a Goddess of Prosperity, but just leave her as she is, and she's quite helpful. And so I have her set up to be able to do Whispering Wind, which does a 30% increase to my damage, or to the whole team actually, and then also does a steal and does the what's it called? I forgot the name of it, but it's a deflect skill. It makes the whole team deflect back a maximum of 20,000 damage, so that's pretty nice. It adds up, eventually once my U-demon is stronger and maybe can live through a bit of Sylph mode, that'll be quite nice if my opponent AoEs my whole team and we all deflect back 20,000, so that's quite a bit of damage. Up and Terra. So I lag just a touch when I go into a fight. So at the beginning, I don't get a first move advantage for the most part. So I always just kind of sit there and wait to see what my opponent does, if I'm going to be eating a chaos at the beginning or not. So maybe for the finals, we won't even bother with this kid just because it's more just getting in my way at the moment. Once I have a stronger kid, of course, I'll use them, and there'll be more solutions other than just me killing my own kid. My kid will probably be able to deal with quite a few of my hits without dying. So it'll be a little bit different. But right now, I kind of feel like my kid is dead weight. But that's okay. Try and get in this stun, but it's targeting one of the Sylphs, which is not nearly as fun as if it hits the player. No. Once you see that opponent use awe, you just kind of have to back up and use a different skill because you won't be able to Sylph immediately. And do I get the Guardian in? Nope. Even so, not too bad because I wasn't in Sylph mode already, and so that big dark Delphic wasn't targeting my Sylph troops at all or anything like that. Here's Rampage, got a Knight. I wasn't too concerned about this rage steal. You know, I was thinking it wouldn't be much, and it's true. Most of the knights right now they only steal 10 or 20 rage, probably 20 at most. I'd be surprised if there was somebody who can already do a 30 rage steal. But eventually that'll be quite nasty. I'm sure it goes up to 50, which could become pretty problematic. I do think that even though I'm using an archer at the moment, that when it comes down to things, I'll probably be deciding between a knight and an oracle. Right now I'm favoring an oracle, which is why I've been waiting so long to level up a U-demon. But the knights have some really interesting things to them. One, they have a Delphic that can stun, and so that is very, very appealing to me. And they also have a Rage Steal, and they have Apollo Shield, so a lot of things that would be very interesting in PvP, and that a Mage really lacks. So I can either kind of go with the Oracle and double down on the power of Mages in PvP, which I do think Mages are a really, really strong PvP class. You know, PvE is a totally different story, but for PvP stuff, fighting other players, Mages are fantastic, and so you know, I don't think I'll have too many issues if I double down and say, okay, I want another Mage on my team. That said, I think the Knights are probably the most interesting class to pick for me. I do think going with a second Mage is sort of boring, but at the same time I'm trying to be at least semi-practical as well. Here's Ermin, and this is like my worst fight of the night. I just absolutely botched this fight. One, he's using Amnesia and Chaos, which was very, very annoying, and that was good. I think Ermin's kind of an interesting player. He last finals I was waiting for somebody to use a Fire Sylph. Guess who has the Fire Sylph? It's Ermin. And I think even though he's perpetually been at a BR disadvantage, I think this is the first time that I lose to him in Class Wars, and I don't really see him in BG, so I don't know if I've really fought him outside of Class Wars. But for sure, this is, you know, just one of the first times for me of having an unsuccessful fight against him. One of the biggest problems was just there. I thought I was done with the turns on the Chaos that he had on me, and so I went ahead and did a Centauria, and I ended up giving a Centauria to him, which was really dumb. One of the other problems was there's a little bit of confusion here where I ended up healing, which he had a heal reduction on me, so that was a really terrible heal. But yeah, I thought I was going to stealth mode and a bunch of other stuff, but it just gets just one big flop of a fight. He really overpowers me, but also just I mean, the easiest way to win and the way you want to win is to get an advantage on a person that they can't really do anything about, and then you just win, which is basically what he did. And I do that to other players, but you know, when it happens to you, it really, really sucks. So not much I can do here. It's one of those things you just have to take a flop. As far as the other, you know, close fights that I have later on, I have a fight against Arlie, which ends up being strong. But you know, against Ray, the earlier fight, I actually thought I was playing quite well. If anything, I felt like I was outplaying her a little bit, and I ended up losing it anyway. So there's lots of ways to lose. Sometimes you can lose good, and sometimes you can lose really, really bad, like right here. All valid ways. There's a lot of different ways to lose in Wartune. And so then, of course, my draw is going to get a little bit weaker this time around, but it's kind of interesting, you know, later on I still have 2 losses, but I end up talking and fighting Almighty One, who had already taken 3 losses, I think. So I don't, you know, I always thought that the pairing in preliminaries was with people with the same number of points and records, and I highly doubt that at that point that there wasn't somebody else in the game who had 2 losses like myself that I could have been paired up against. So I don't really know why it panned out that way, but yeah, so I'm not totally sure about the pairing system anymore. That's definitely how it's supposed to work in say finals, you know, everybody who's in a similar record are pulled together. So who knows? It's Wartune. So this is pretty basic stuff, you know, nothing too fancy. I don't bother with Ice Bolt or anything like that. Get into Sylph mode after waiting for my opponent to go. I still think it's a pretty big advantage to go second. Another nice thing about Ice Bolt is you can try and use it as your opponent is going into Sylph mode, and that's could be very nasty if you end up stunning them as they go into Sylph mode. I don't think I really get a good example of that here in Preliminaries though. I'm still working out some of the kinks with this setup. Of course, this is not something I go into BG with very often because, you know, when I'm in BG, I definitely want an AoE to deal with the troops and the kid and whatever, just to make things go faster. But if I could bring Ice Bolt into BG without just getting annoyed very easily, then I would. Here's a mighty one, another one with an amnesia rune. I forget what her second one is. It might be a heal rune, I think. It's either a heal or a chaos. And she's saying, oh crap. And I think she's saying that mostly because she has taken some losses before this, and she says it hasn't been a great night for her, and I said it wasn't for me either, of course, because I've already taken 2 losses, which, I mean, isn't unheard of for me in prelims, but it's not exactly, you know, like my best for performance. Have I had an undefeated prelims? Maybe not. Probably, maybe the best prelims I've had is 14-1. Either 14-1 or 15-0. I think she has a bit of a res disadvantage here. I definitely have more BR on her. Almighty One definitely was able to make top 16 before, but I think she's a little short on BR now. I don't know if she's saying 4 losses so far, including this one, which I think she already feels like she's lost, or if this is her 5th. If it's her 5th, she's probably out of finals, but I would be really, really surprised if it's her 5th. Should have checked after this. I'll manage all right. Not too many hiccups, even though she is quite strong. Oh, there in guild chat we were talking about how May, a no cash archer in my guild, just beat somebody pretty strong. So she's doing really well, and she ends up actually making it into finals. So I'm going to be blogging about her tune, and she's really one of the most successful non-cash tunes I've ever seen. So a really cool one there. So you can check out Cosmos Wartune blog pretty soon, and I'll end up posting about her. Here's Arlie, another very, very strong player. Probably top, I don't know if Arlie's top 8 right now. Maybe definitely top 16 any class, and one of the top highest BR mages. Of course, sort of embarrassingly, I chat fail and say this in current chat. I say, wow, Arlie's Ice Bolt stun lasts 3 turns, which it did end up lasting 3 turns. She has, I checked her stats later on, at least 600 more influence than I do, and so apparently that's what happens when somebody has 3 times as much influence as you do. I got a little bit lucky there. She did chaos me, but my heal ended up working and going to me. I decided to just kind of get into Sylph mode and deal with it accordingly. Here I get a nice chaos on her, which really saves me the fight. Her kid is still alive, and because of that, one of her Sylph attacks goes to the kid, and so I'm able to punch out a good chunk of damage right here. Everything after that, since she killed her own kid, does end up still hitting me, because the troops aren't going to be affected by that chaos. And do I think clean up? Oh, actually that move. I thought I might have needed just one more. It looks like Arlie's dark resistance is not that great. You know, I have good reduce res and a bunch of other stuff, but even so, Arlie's very, very strong as far as pure BR goes. So after that, it just comes down to resistances. It's not like my dark resistance is anything stellar or anything amazing for Mage Class War standards, but it does look like Arlie's was probably lower than myself. Here's yet another Hecate. You can probably just see so many of them. You know, Hecate is pretty much a sign that people are caching recently, and of course, so I have one, but I've seen them on much weaker players from very young servers, and I would highly recommend to people on young servers to not be pushing a ton of money into these fancy sylphs. You know, there are things better places to be putting your money at the moment. One, just because the return on your money for one of these sylphs is very low. You have to pump a lot of materials into your sylph before they really do anything. Once they're mythic, and so, you know, a few $100 going towards a mythic sylph is probably better spent on things that give you more concrete BR and go to your player base stats, so something that's going to give you attack, defense, HP. Those are better stats to be working on with your initial investments in Wartune. That said, Baby Angel is probably not, you know, is from Wartune 100 something, so she's probably not from an older server. Probably just an overall BR disadvantage. Here's Euphoric. He gets Chaos on me earlier, which I'm not at all surprised by Euphoric. He seems like the type of player who would like to play this way, and so I'm just kind of waiting things out. I usually, if somebody gets a Chaos on me that early, I'm probably going to wait to use my Chaos a bit, especially against these stronger players, because I usually don't kill off their kid. There's always like a chance that, oh, maybe I can make them kill their own kid. Not totally sure here. You know, I do like the Chaos here, especially in this situation, but I'm definitely more comfortable with a heal. You know, definitely in that fight against Ermin, I would have been a lot better off with a heal Guardian combination. I probably could have recovered a lot more easily and not been in so much trouble had I gone with, you know, something that I'm more used to, but not the end of the world. Try and get a stun out here, but of course it goes to one of the sylphs again. Get into sylph mode. So if I'm the first one going into sylph mode, which usually I try not to be, but if I am first, I end up using Devourer's Soul, because I know that's not an AoE and not going to hit the sylphs, and so I wait for my opponent, hopefully, to go into sylph mode, and then start using my AoE so that I can clear out their sylph troops. Of course, here it's a little bit more difficult with the amnesia. There's some restriction there. Oh, Euphoric ended up bringing a Blessed Light, a BL, and I don't really know how he fit that into his setup, which is kind of interesting. How does he? Is that a bleed on him? Or maybe it was a sylph hit or something like that. It might have been a bleed from the Dark Delphic. Well, that is the last fight. I ended up going 13-2, which is pretty good, considering I think that early loss ended up giving me an easier draw later on, and so maybe that's why I did as well as I did. I ended up ranking 7th and in preliminaries, and then by BR I ended up 19th. So I will be in Warriors Hall this month. Maybe next month I'll have, you know, my Oracle all set up and be able to go into finals. I still probably won't be set up in such a way that I'll be able to win finals. I'm kind of taking my time setting up and hoarding things in order to try and get a win for Class Wars. But in the meantime, I kind of have to take a step back and not do as well for a couple months at least. So that said, I still had a lot of fun, and I think I'm going to enjoy finals quite a bit. It's nice kind of stepping away from the pressure of Warlords Hall once in a while also. So I'll see you guys there on Thursday, and take care. Have a very good day.